Hey there, this is Karen McGowan and I am your art instructor for today's Art Lesson Crates lesson. We're going to make this adorable Bb-8. He is from one of my favorite movies, The Force Awakens. It's a Star Wars number, I don't know, 423. There's so many of them. But this little character is absolutely adorable. And I even have a small little robot of him. I'm so obsessed with him. This is Bb-8. He is a robot that is a round base and the head just stays relatively stationary at the top. Now he does kind of wobble from side to side, but that's about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a sphere with a semicircle on top, but notice that the semicircle does not have a straight line at the bottom. It is slightly curved. We have a horizon line that does show sand dunes, and then we also have a shadow. So let's go ahead and get started. What you're going to need to do first is get your canvas. A canvas is just wood that is wrapped in fabric. Wood, fabric. It's stapled on the back, which means you can paint the sides if you want. You can put your canvas this way, which is called horizontal, or you can go up and down, which is vertical. I prefer vertical for him because he is a taller rather than wide robot. If you're going to be putting this in a very small space, you may want to go side to side. You're going to need a pencil. It needs to have the eraser and obviously a point. Oops. Do not draw dark. If you draw dark, you may end up with shadow lines that don't erase. So just softly draw. Also, when it comes to making circles, everybody's like, I can't even draw a circle. You can draw a circle, but it's not using your hand. You have very limited movement with your hand. Use your arm. You can control your arm. So the bottom half of your picture, we want to go ahead, start making a circle without touching your canvas. When you get it about the size you want it to be, start dropping that pencil. Go a few times around, and you'll start noticing a sphere happen. Now from your bottom line, let's go ahead and add a shadow. And towards the top, we're going to go ahead and give him his head. He has a slight smile and a dome for the top. So if we determine what the center line is, that's where our dome is going to level off, is that center line. All right. He has a neck that connects. And then he's got some designs. First design is an oval. It is large. We have another one that's going to be over here, and another one over here. Now these are going to have a top frown, a bottom smile, a side line, and a side line. Top frown, bottom smile, side line, but you can't see the side line on this side. Top frown, bottom smile, line. This one you can barely see it. Notice that there's a gap between each one because we need to go up, over, and back. Up, over, and back for each one of these. Now connect them all with a line, and then this little guy has a line coming out there. There are screws. And his head has a knob and a camera, an orange stripe, another stripe, and another stripe. All right. We're going to do a curve up top and double it. And a small antenna and a tall antenna. That's our cute little Bb-8. But right now, he's floating in air. He is not on a ground. So let's go ahead and give him a horizon line. A horizon line is where the sky and the land meet. It's like the farthest point. What you're going to do is you're going to pick wherever you want your land line to be. I'm going to just do it about halfway. I'm going to go to him, but Bb-8, whoops, is not see-through. He's not made of glass. Therefore, you're not going to see this horizon line because he is in front. You can't see my whole pencil, right? It's the same basic concept. So I'm going to lift my pencil, come to the other side, drop it down, and continue my line. And since it's the desert, I think I want a couple of sand dunes. And there we go. So the next step is to Sharpie it if you like. You do not have to Sharpie it if you do not want to. It's personal preference. I'm going to Sharpie mine so you can see it better on the video. But like I said, it's totally your choice. If you are going to permanent ink it, you're going to want to pretend that this is your choo-choo train. Your pencil lines are your tracks. Stay on your tracks. Do not veer off of them. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pause this video, and you may pause it too, and I'm going to outline. When we come back, mine will be completely outlined. I'm back. There's one thing that I forgot to do is the gray little semicircles that are on each of those. It's not uber important, but it does look good. So now all of my outlining is done and I'm ready to fill it with paint. I recommend that you use both blue and white. If you do that, you're going to get a blended sky rather than a solid sky. Now you have your paints in these really cool little containers, and I'm just working straight from the bottle. They're the exact same paints. It's just that the bottles contain too much liquid, so I have to send smaller amounts. Alright, so I'm going to take white and blue, both on my brush. I'm going to turn it to where I can reach it well, and I'm going to start filling it in. I'm not putting the paint all the way up my bristles. It's only about halfway up. Every now and then I'm just going to dip in white, or I'll just dip in blue. My blue is almost a purplish color blue, but that's okay. I kind of like it. Gives it a alien-like look. I think it's just my lighting, but that's okay. Little brush strokes. Sometimes you don't want the brush strokes. Sometimes you do. I like the look of brush strokes. Starry Night is one of my favorite paintings, and it's mainly because you can see all the brush strokes. I think it's really cool. Starry Night actually is an amazing painting because it is a painting that actually describes how something you can't see looks, like wind. I mean, how would you expect wind to look? I mean, I guess in swirls. Well, that's what he did. He made these wonderful swirls of paint just by using his paintbrush. Alright. I keep filling that in. Now I paint fast. I don't expect you to paint as quickly as I do. If you need to pause it so you can catch up, that's fine. Now you'll notice I accidentally went over my antenna. It is not the end of the world. I'll just paint it right back on top. Now you want to try and avoid getting any color into your Bb-8 because he is white. But if you do get color in your Bb-8, make sure you blow dry him very, very well before you start working on it some more. I like the little bits of white in my sky, so I'm going to go ahead and keep adding them. And I want all my brush strokes to kind of be the same direction. Okay, voila. So now I'm going to go ahead and start on my brown sand. Now brown itself is not a very pretty color if you ask me. It is a combination of a primary and a secondary color. Basically what I mean by that is if you mix a primary color, red, with a secondary color, green, you're going to make brown. If you mix purple with yellow. This is a primary color, secondary color. They're across each other on the coloring wheel. You mix them together, you're going to get brown. The last ones are orange and blue. Blue is a primary color, orange is a secondary color. Mix them up, you get your brown. Now the best brown that you can mix, in my opinion, is the red and green, because red is a very deep color that's in most browns. So if you don't have a brown, you can always make it if you have at least one primary and one secondary that are across from the coloring wheel. I'm going to take brown and yellow, both on my brush at the same time. I'm going to fill in my first sand dune. And brown and yellow, I'm going to do my second sand dune. Alright, now I'm going to start in the back of my sand with just brown. Now you do want to work a little fast when you're doing this part, because we're going to keep adding in yellow and brown, yellow and brown, yellow and brown, and you don't want them to dry on you. So that was just a solid yellow dip. The more you drag your brush through it, the more it blends. Now here's a solid brown dip. And maybe a yellow and brown dip. Make sure you paint your sides. If you paint your sides, it's called gallery wrapping, and it's a good thing. That means you don't have to frame it when you're done. You can just hang it straight on your wall or put it on your shelf. Alright, and finally I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to put my solid brown, touch in some yellow, and we're done. Go ahead and pause this video right here if you're not finished. I'll wait. Catch you back in just a second. Your picture should look something along these lines. And now what we need to do is fill in this shadow area. So with my dirty brush, with the brown and yellow on it, I'm going to grab a little bit of black as well. And I'm going to fill this in with black and brown. And I just grabbed a little bit extra brown because while I waited with the pause, I let it dry a little too much. And there we go. Now I'm going to clean my brush really, really well, because the next part is very important to have a nice clean brush. I'm going to work from the top of Bb-8 first. I'm going to use solid white. No other color in there. I'm going to color the whole thing. He's not a clean white robot, so we're going to have to darken him up in some spots. We got to make him look a little aged, shadowed. So what I'm going to do now is, with my dirty brush, I'm going to touch barely any black. I didn't scoop in it, I just touched it. I'm going to follow the same side as my shadow on the ground. Drag your brush through it a few times, and then start pulling in. I'm going to wipe off a little bit of that darkness because I don't want too much gray. But the more you drag your brush, the more it blends. Let's go ahead and do that for the bottom as well. Clean white. Get a little bit more white. Clean white. I'm just chunking it in, filling it up nice and fast. Clean white down, grab some black, get your side. Drag it a few times. Up, back, up, back, up, back. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and, with my dirty brush, I'm going to dip in my black again, and I'm going to fill in his little neck. I'm going to go ahead and dip in the black and fill in his little knob. You're going to find that your white kind of blends into it. That's okay. I'm going to outline this little knob. Put a little dot in the middle. It's his little camera. A little more black on my brush, and I'm going to do this little ring here. I'm also going to do both of the antennas. And now I want to take a little bit of white and black together to make a softer gray, so I can fill in my little semicircles. And outline my little designs. As long as you don't bend your bristles, you'll be okay doing this. But if you bend them really hard, you're going to get really fat, thick lines, and it's going to mess them up. Gentle, soft brush strokes. Let's do one more dip in the blackish gray for the screws and the lines. The final thing that we need to do for BB is the orange and red. The orange parts I'm going to fill in with just orange, and then I'm going to highlight them with yellow. The red part is one tiny little button, and we'll do that last. Alright, so that's done. So now I'm going to pick up yellow with my dirty brush. I'm just going to chunk in a little bit of yellow. Let's do this next one. And now I'm going to grab my yellow with my dirty brush and chunk some in. One more time, orange. And chunked in yellow. Oh, whoops, I forgot his head. Let's add in our little lines over here. Chunk in our yellow. It looks like I'm putting my hand on my painting, but I'm not. I'm actually raised. All right, so, and the reason is because this is wet. I don't want to drag my hand through wet paint. So just keep your arm raised. Take the back of your brush, put a dot of red on there, put a little dot for your little knob. And one final last little knob I didn't do, take black and white and draw a little line. Super cute, huh? So there's our little Bb-8. I hope you enjoyed him as much as I enjoyed making him. He's a cute little guy. And if you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic movie. Humor, action, love, everything. You can't go wrong with it. Well, thank you for joining me for today's lesson, and I look forward to chatting with you next time. Please feel free to email or text us a picture of your artwork. We'd love to see it and maybe put it on our website. Thanks so much, and you have a nice day.